You're listening to Hidden 250, where history, culture, and travel come together. I'm your host, Karin Aaron, and join me as we go beyond the surface to explore untold stories, overlooked destinations, and the people and communities shaping America today. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of America's Hidden 250 podcast. This series invites us to learn something new about people and communities that are often left out of the American story. So our goal is always simple: to uncover stories about people and communities that are often missing from the traditional American narrative.
Before America was a nation, it was an idea. An idea bold enough to challenge a king and powerful enough to change the world. 13 colonies along the Atlantic grew restless under a distant crown. Taxes without representation, soldiers in their streets, voices unheard. Protests became resistance. Resistance became revolution. In this 1-hour special, we're traveling to destinations both well-known and some you may not expect that played pivotal roles in the American Revolution. 3 cities, 3 stories, and 1 revolutionary journey that still shapes America today. This is a story of the American Revolution.
So as we celebrate Women's History Month, I am so honored to be joined by my friend and by my sister, Denella Ri'chard. She is the host of the wildly successful Traveling with Denella travel series. And this sister is the real deal. So from her roots in Louisiana to sharing cultures and destinations around the world, Denella often highlights stories and places and people that often go unseen. So today she joins me as my special guest to talk about her journey and her passion for travel, as well as this remarkable milestone. She has become a member of the DAR, or Daughters of American Revolution, almost 100 years after this organization was founded. So I'm so proud of her. I'm so happy to have you on the show. Denella, thank you so much for joining us.
Karin, thank you. I'm so happy to be here and to be here at such a special time during Women's History Month. So thank you.
You are welcome. Absolutely a pleasure. So to get started, so Denella, you traveled the world sharing stories on your own travel show. And, often these stories, will always take us back home to things that are important and special to us. But your story from Louisiana back to true American history is just amazing. And after so many years, I know this is a big deal. This is a personal milestone, but it's more than that. It's a reflection of long and often an overlooked journey through heritage, identity, and freedom. So to kind of kick things off and get started, what does it mean for you to connect your own story and to take place in this historic organization?
It means exactly what you said. It's about identity and knowing who you are. So few years back, I, got on the track of just being very interested in genealogy, right? Wanting to know about my mother's family, wanting to know more about my dad's family, and just tracing those roots as far as I could go. And I originally started my search on a website called familysearch.org, which is actually available free of charge through the Mormons, Latter-day Saints. So I started my genealogy trek with them, and I couldn't believe, all of a sudden I put in a few names and all of a sudden the tree just expanded and expanded. And when I looked up, my tree was going back years and years and years into Europe, Canary Islands, all these different places that I didn't even know, even Canada. So, and while I was on that trek, right, I reached out to a cousin who I knew was also into genealogy research. And she started answering some of the unanswered questions that I didn't know things about. But she also said, Denella, you should think about joining Daughters of the American Revolution, because
Okay.
she was a member. And I was like, never thought about that. Why would I do that? And she said, because we can actually trace our lineage, our bloodline, 9 generations back. She said, because we're from Louisiana, we're Catholics, the Catholic Church has all of our records. She said,
Really?
I've done most of the work already for you, so why wouldn't you join? So as she told me more about it, and we started gathering my records 9 generations back to my great grandfather, Pierre Richard. That is what made me eligible and qualified. Because one thing people don't know about DAR is that you have to be able to trace that bloodline. You're
Really?
not going to just
Okay.
raise your hand and say, hey, look at me, I want to be a member, right? And
Right.
it takes some people years and years and years. But on that genealogy track of
Mhm.
discovery, what I found out was about this 9th generation great grandfather who actually was from Canada. Now, I'm from
Okay.
Louisiana. So I already know we Creole, we Louisiana French Creoles, but I didn't realize we were also Cajun. I kind of did, but I really didn't know that side of my family. That's the white side of the family. Just didn't know
Okay.
about the European side of the family. Didn't know about it, right?
Okay.
But this genealogy track took me there, took me to Nova Scotia, Canada, where I discovered my great grandfather, Pierre Richard. Our family was one of the original families that were expelled from Canada and sent to live in Louisiana. They were expelled as a part of a historical moment called Les Grands Dérangements,
Les grands.
right? Les Grands Dérangements. So
Okay.
they were a part of the big expelling, right? Of
Okay.
the French Catholics, basically from Canada. And
Okay.
in short, they refused to kiss the ring of the British. And the British said, well, y'all better get y'all French speaking Catholic butts up out of here. Just go, right? So
Yeah.
they just started deporting them to different places. And there was one set of original 13 families that ended up in Louisiana. My family is a part of the original families that actually settled in Louisiana. Now,
Okay.
interesting enough, during this time, Louisiana was actually owned and governed by Spain, by the
Okay. Yeah.
Spanish, right?
Yeah.
And so, as you know, Britain has colonized, you got the 13 colonies and all of these things. And when the American Revolution kicked off, the Brits were going to come on down into the Gulf Coast, right? And the Louisiana natives, my grandfather and other patriots, picked
Okay.
up arms with the Spanish to fight the British. All
Get
right.
out of here. Wow.
Yes. So they were a part of the military and those troops that actually kept the British from coming onto the Gulf Coast and those lands and taking control. Because of those efforts of the Spanish and the Acadians, my people, Louisiana people, the Acadians,
Canadians. Okay.
because of their act of bravery in the war, they are recognized today as part of the American Revolution. Because of that, my ancestry, my lineage, my great grandfather, Pierre Richard, is recognized as an original American patriot with the Daughters of the American Revolution. So
That is
that is how
phenomenal.
I became a member, because I can trace my bloodline nine
Right.
generations back to that brave great grandfather.
So, in short story, this is awesome because I have a limited knowledge of what DAR is outside of the
Mhm.
performance venue that's down here in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
So, tell me, talk a little bit just briefly about what is DAR and how did it get started and its purpose and
Right.
anything you can share about the organization that you think our listeners should know.
As you mentioned, it was founded in 1890, and
Mhm.
it was formed to promote historic preservation, education, as well as patriotism. But I've been told it originally started because there were women that wanted to be able to celebrate their fathers, great grandfathers, and brothers who had served in the military. They would see
Okay.
the men, had organizations, where they would celebrate their veterans, their patriots, their soldiers. But the women at that time did not have their own organization. So they wanted to be able to celebrate their
Got it.
family that served in this country's military. And that was the original premise that I'm told of how it started. From there, it grew over the years to where today, I don't know, we have so many thousands of women throughout the country that are a part of it. But DAR is definitely known for Constitution Hall. And
Yes.
in honor of this year's 250-year anniversary, guess who's going to be performing at Constitution Hall on April 18th in honor of the 250-year anniversary? You know who that is, Karen?
April 18th. I do not.
Patti LaBelle.
What?
Patti LaBelle.
And she gonna shake it up. Okay.
Yes, yes. And I say that because a lot of people, when they think about Daughters of the American Revolution, they don't think of women that look like me or look like Patti LaBelle.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So I'm happy to be able to do this podcast, one, to dispel that myth, right? That Daughters of the American Revolution, we're a very diverse group of women.
Okay.
Throughout the United States. And the thing that connects us all, like I said, is that we're a group of women who are able to prove, trace, and our bloodlines have been authenticated back to the years of the American Revolution. Our ancestors were patriots who fought for this country.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So we know that Patti is going to bring the house down.
She's gonna kick off her shoes.
Exactly.
And she's going to do it. Patti is going to do it.
Constitution Avenue would never look the same, right? So we know what that's going to look like. So I'm going to stay there just for a quick second. So you mentioned women that have all different type of backgrounds. So two quick questions. So one, how long did the process take? I mean, when you first started digging into it, and how long did it take? And from the research from start to finish, but also how many women of color is a member of DAR? So just kind of in context from, I mean, I know we're going back 100 years, but what does those numbers look like?
Right. Okay. So, first question. So the numbers of women of color, I don't know, it's probably close to 1,000, if not a little bit over, but there are a lot. And we have a special podcast. It's called the Daughter Dialogues. And these are all women of color. Now, how long does the process take? It all depends on how long you can get those records together. I was blessed. My cousin had already been through the process. So her grandmother and my grandfather are brother and sister. So she had already got the grandparents of them, the parents, great grandparents and so on. She had already did the work back to our great grandfather, Pierre Richard. Yes. So when it was my time, I was able to take from her records and then just build from our grandparents that we shared and my parents and on to me. So I am told I'm one of the fastest confirmations in the history of DAR that has ever happened, according to my ladies, the ladies in my chapter.
Right.
There are some women, it has taken them many, many years to be able to get their hands on all of those records. So it is a very tedious process, but being Louisiana Catholic, the church keeps all of our records. And Louisiana by nature, they keep the archives on everything. So for us, that made the process just a little bit easier. I mean, but to be able to get my grandfather's baptismal record from 1916, to be able to get my grandparents' marriage record, now marriage license. Now let me tell you what's interesting about that record. All right,
Yep.
My grandfather had to pay, and I should know the exact amount, but he had to pay, I think it was like $750 or some amount back in 19, right, early 30s to marry my grandmother.
Okay.
Right. Louisiana required that if you wanted to get married, you had to pay a hefty fee. We don't pay that much for a marriage license today.
What was
And
the
back
reason behind that?
then, it was a deterrent
Oh,
because
okay.
it was meant to deter people who they felt weren't wealthy. Well, if you got $750 back in the 1930s, you had some money.
Right, right.
Okay. But it was meant to deter, I'm told, Black people and poor people from getting married.
That is crazy. It's interesting because when you go back into African American history, you hear about even in the early days of slavery, how, with the family unit and getting married, whether it was on a plantation or it was in their home, that they had to do it kind of undercover. So,
Yes.
and then it just kind of bled all the way up to 1930, where you were going to charge that much to get a license just to marry someone. That's absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely
But
crazy.
I'll
So,
tell you, I had to ask myself because my family, they're all from the country in Louisiana. We're from
yeah,
Creole land, area called Opelousas, Louisiana. I'm going, where did my grandfather get this kind of money to marry my grandmother? He really wanted to marry her. Right? Well, it goes back to the linkages of the genealogy. What I
wow.
mean by
Mhm.
that is my grandfather's daddy was the son of a white man. All right.
Okay.
And my grandmother, my great grandmother, worked for that family.
Okay.
All right. And the son, his name was Telesmar, fell in love with my great grandmother, and they had my great grandfather, Joseph
Okay.
Richard. Okay. His daddy, white daddy, raised him. All right. And put on record everything that this is his son from the baptismal records, the whole 9 yards. You
Mhm.
understand? I
Yep.
say that because at that time, it was not permittable for a white man to go documenting Black children. It was one thing that people kind of knew, and it
Yeah.
might have been talked about in
You
the
don't put it on
hushes,
paper.
but you don't put it on paper.
Right.
Okay? Right. He put it on paper, right?
Wow.
So
Okay.
my great grandfather, Joseph, was able to get that money, I'm pretty sure, from his daddy, his white daddy,
His
to
white
give to
daddy.
my
Yep.
grandfather
Yep.
to pay to marry my grandmother because there is no way rural country people had that kind of money
Exactly.
during that time to be able to get married.
Oh my gosh, Denella, crazy, crazy, crazy,
Mhm.
crazy. And you know what? God bless you and, like you said, the Catholic Church for having all of this information ready for you to look up and then be able to dig into it and understand and see your stories and history. It's just, girl, this is great. You need to write a book. All right, you should. So kind of following on that. So this podcast is all about hidden stories and America's hidden
Yeah.
stories. And I just got to ask, as a Black woman, obviously, as part of the DAR, this highlights where history about African Americans were often excluded. You just spoke about that. So, what does it mean for you to be a part of this organization that historically did not include people like you and persons of color like us? And how does that tie into the hidden stories of today? Just that, those stories that we don't often hear about.
Yes. Well, what I can say is evolution is real, and the organization has evolved over the years.
Okay,
And
perfect.
the organization is very welcoming of all women, of all colors, of all backgrounds. Again, the requirement is you have your birth certificate, your birth records, you can prove your bloodline, you are welcome,
Yeah.
right? You have to go through the process. But for me, how many times as Black people that people say, well, I don't know my history, my family, they came from somewhere in Africa and I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all we know. Or, I know my grandfather might have been the son of a slave master or something because that's how we got some of this light skin. And, we know Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We had those kind of stories. We don't have the real stories.
Right.
But for me to go through this process with the documentation and to be able to see the trail and know who my white great grandfather was 3 generations back and 9 generations back.
Generations back.
The
Yeah.
3 generations back. So my grandfather, his daddy, and then my great grandfather's dad, right?
Yep.
I was able to go to my white great grandfather's grave in
Oh, did you? Okay.
Louisiana, okay? And my great grandfather and his white daddy are buried in at St. Leo Graveyard in Leonville, Louisiana. And when I tell you that Catholic Church still takes care of those graves, it is unbelievable. I could not believe that to have the documents
Yeah.
and then to be able to go to the
And
grave
see it.
site and
Wow.
to see my great grandfather, to see my great grandmother, and then to also see my white great grandfather, or we'll say of European descent great grandfather, right? To be able to see them was just mind blowing to see their graves, to know that anytime I want to go and visit, the Catholic Church still takes amazing care of those
That's
graves.
beautiful.
Right?
Beautiful.
So when you ask me what does it mean I know who I am.
Absolutely.
I know where I came from. Okay. There's not a lot of Black people in this country that can say that. But even more so, what it means, Louisiana was very diverse. We were Spanish, we were French, we were even Canadian, even though we always skip the Canadian and we just say we French. No, we is Canadian French, right?
Yep.
We were so diverse. We were Native American. We were African. We were Haitian. A lot of times, Black people in Louisiana want to say, oh, well, my African root. No, a lot of us from Haiti. We Haitian, right? A lot of us are. Seriously.
Exactly.
Right? So when you start going through those records and what you realize is, oh my God, a lot of stuff we believe is just made up stories. But when you can get the real records and you start putting your stories together and you realize who you are, you're like, wow, this is amazing. So to ask me as a brown-skinned woman, do I identify with just being Black? Well, I'm more than just Black, right? I'm multicultural.
Exactly.
And part of me is biracial too, And Louisiana was multicultural. But it was through the years when laws and different things were passed that separated us. And I think as Americans, and as we get ready for America 250, and what you're going to see in my America 250 1-hour special, right?
Yep.
That we are a multicultural people that make up America, and we must never, never, ever forget that. We came from different backgrounds, different religions, different races and countries. But that was our power. That was our strength. I became a member of DAR, not because it was at the top of my list of things to do. My genealogy brought me there.
It brought you there. It brought
me there.
Where it started and where it is today. So that is cool. So just real quick, listen, the Traveling with Denella show, fantastic. Love it. Been on for, numerous seasons now. And I just want to, just so that our audience will know, what inspired you to start the show, right? And then also, did your Cajun background, did this background and your history kind of help you choose or influence the way that you feature destinations on the show or stories on the show? Does that have a parallel there?
So how did Traveling with Denella, the weekly television series come about? I lost my job during COVID. I was an executive in the cruise industry. Loved working in the cruise industry. Thought that was where I was going to always be, retired from there. But when COVID happened, I lost my job. And during the time of on lockdown, when we were all staying up late eating popcorn and bonbons because we didn't have no jobs to go to.
Yeah, no job. Right? Checkmate, same here.
Right? I was spending time, to be honest, Karin, I was doing a lot of painting on my balcony and sipping, but I was sipping, painting, sipping, painting. Yeah. And I had more sips than I had painting. And my friend was like, it's time for you to do something different. So I decided I wanted to do something that would inspire people, that we would travel the world again. You and I lived through 9/11
Yeah,
when the world seemed so bleak, and we thought, when we couldn't get on airplanes for a while, and we wondered, were we going to travel again? Right? We lived through 9/11, and our industry survived 9/11. So it was important for me to do something to let people know, oh, travel industry, we resilient, we strong, we coming
absolutely.
back. When borders open again, we traveling again,
Absolutely.
right? So we started the show as a way to inspire people. Don't give up hope. We're going to travel. So we started with interviews of people in the industry, just talking about their destinations and
Yeah.
different things. You remember a Zoom format, kind of like,
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
podcast format we're doing right now. That was COVID. Well, as borders opened, we started getting calls from the US Virgin Islands, from Jamaica, from Ecuador, from all these people that were like, bring a camera crew, come. So we hit the road. We hit the road when a lot of people Hollywood wasn't even hitting the road because
Wasn't
people
even
were still
exactly.
afraid of COVID. I
Exactly.
had people in Hollywood calling me saying, how are you getting a film crew out on the road right now? It's like, because I'm from the travel industry and my friends, I got friends, we
Right,
go, they
right,
get us in, we go, right?
right.
So we started traveling the world and bringing these destination stories to life. And Karin, I'll be honest with you, when we started, I thought, oh, I'll do this for a year and then I'll go back to, a cruise job as an executive in the industry. 5 years later, season 9, we are still going very, very strong today. So, yes, so that's what we do. And we're on in 50 cities every week throughout the United States,
Love
ABC,
it.
CBS, NBC, CW, you name it. And we finally started putting shows on YouTube as well. So we're starting to roll them out there as well. So you can always catch our shows anytime there.
I again, I'm a fan. And and you can answer this question. Are you the only woman of color that has a travel series out?
I can say, there have been other women, and there are a few others that kind of come in, they do a few shows, but I can tell you I'm the longest running
The longest
Black woman
exactly.
in the history of travel television series that has stayed. And the sticking power is because, Karin, we're real industry women,
That's
right?
right.
We come from the travel industry. This has been our career. It wasn't a hobby. Before social media had made it cool, we were working in this industry.
We were working
Karen,
in this industry.
when I first went to work before the cruise industry, I worked for Hilton Worldwide. I worked with the Hilton family when it was still owned by Hilton out of Beverly Hills.
Exa-
At the
Exactly.
corporate, through the corporate office. I remember when I
Exactly.
told my mom I was going to work for Hilton, she was like, what? My
Right.
mom worked at a law school. So when she would tell people her daughter worked for Hilton Worldwide or for Carnival Corporation, they were like, "Oh, what she do? Housekeeping?"
Right.
Black people had
Yeah.
no perspective for an executive role in the travel
Absolutely.
industry. So we've been
Absolutely.
doing this thing long before it was ever cool. How many rooms did you and I walk in, and there were no other brown skinned people
None.
in the room?
None.
It was just
None.
us. So
None.
now I see everybody with a camera. Oh, I'm traveling. I'm a travel. Yeah,
None.
we were doing it. We made careers. It's not a hobby. It's our career. It's our lifeblood. It is who
Exactly.
we are.
Exactly, exactly. And Janella, our wrap or I would compliment and say that's the difference. Unfortunately, fortunately for us, when we came through this industry and being executive and being a CEO, we made it that way. We earned and we worked ourselves up to that position and up to the top. But what's unfortunate is that to this day, there's still not a lot of persons of color, particularly women of color, in C-suite positions and in executive roles. So
Yeah.
what's the disparity there? I think that tenure, experience, everything that we brought to the industry, like I said, before social media and just the grind. And
Yeah.
that's why I appreciate women like you who we were in hospitality when we were walking, when there was no CRM and we were writing notes on post-it cards and post-it notes. And it was just
Yes.
crazy. But look where we at now, sis. And
Yeah.
look where you are. And that's what it is so amazing to have you on the show. So I just got one quick question and then another
Yes.
fun question. So great call, great conversation. I cannot tell you how happy and proud I am to know you as someone who is just, I consider a dear friend, but just someone who represents DAR the best that there is. So final question, what do you hope people will learn from this journey? We talked a little bit about young women. We talk about people from your native Louisiana background, but what do you hope people will learn from your journey, and what can they take from here?
So I'm going to start from what can they take? We have a 1 hour special, Traveling with Denella, America 250, that's going to be released in June. It's going to air throughout the summer in over 50 plus, probably up to 80 markets, because we still have everybody that's signing on for the show. So you definitely want to see this 1 hour television special, right? It is going to help everyone realize that the American Revolution was not just a revolution for a certain set of people, right? It was for all of us, and you should all be able to relate and connect. And as an American, you should be proud that we are celebrating 250 years of freedom. Forget politics, and they got a lot of nuances. If you American, you carry an American passport, be proud of who you are. Okay? We're celebrating 250 years. So take from it, we are and always have been a multicultural nation. Always be proud of that. And don't try to segregate yourselves and just say, well, I identify over here, I'm with the Black people, I'm Black. No, if you're Black in this country, you mixed. And if you need us, whether you do it through a search with Daughters of the American Revolution, Sons of the American Revolution, or you reach out to familysearch.org and connect with the Mormon community, because they do it as a part of their core beliefs in genealogy.
Love this.
Do the work. Find out who you are. And when you understand that you're a multicultural mix of many different people and heritages,
look at people
you will understand. And it'll make no sense. Why are we all trying to separate ourselves? We are one people. And here in America, let's maintain that American pride for who we are. Forget, like I say, because I know some of y'all like, well, these political nuances, forget all that. You American, you carry an American passport, be proud.
Be proud of it. So I love this. I just got one question before we go. And this is the question I have been always trying to figure out, Denella, because I know you're going to be keeping straight. So what is the real difference between Cajun food and Creole food? Because I don't like spicy, but I can appreciate the gumbo and I can appreciate the spice. What is the difference, or is it all the same?
Oh my God. Well, no, it's not necessarily all the same, but depending on who you ask, you might get a different answer. Creole, we usually do things with a brown gravy.
A brown
and some
gravy?
People would challenge me on that. It's all about cooking techniques. Some people, I'm gonna just say it like that. All right.
Okay.
So it's about the roux. Some of them cook with a brown gravy. Some of them cook with a red gravy. All right. It comes down to music. Creole, we love our Zydeco music.
Okay.
And then you have on the Cajun side, they also have Zydeco. And oh my God, I should know this, so y'all forgive me. But there's also another term that is used with some of the Creole music. But as my grandparents would call it, it's the French la la. But people would ask me, am I Cajun? Am I Creole? Looking at me, people will say, you Creole. I just told y'all 9 generations back, I'm Cajun. So we're trying to divide us, because if we from Louisiana, I will tell the best of them. We both. We Cajun and we Creole. We got a little bit of both in all of us, whether we white, whether we Black. That's why there's the thing called a gumbo, because we a nice mixture. And you just throw some of everything in it. And that's what makes it so good. And that's how we get to be so pretty.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, whether it's red gravy or brown gravy, we still Americans.
That's
one pot at a time, right? So that's what it is. So I love this. Well, Denella, thank you so much for being on the show. This was so much fun. I got you, and I'm a supporter. I'm a fan. You know, we're locked in. We're going to make sure that this story is everywhere that we can place this. And also, I'm serious. I think that I love the fact that you tied your background into who we are as Americans. You know, my mother was light skinned with blue eyes. I never asked her where she's from. Maybe I need to go down to Plant City and start digging up some stories and find out where I'm really
Start
from.
with family search. You would be surprised how much of the work has already been done for you.
Exactly.
Familysearch.org.
I will absolutely be there. You've inspired me to look beyond what I know and what's in my background. So I love you to pieces. I'm so happy for the show. Everyone tune in to the Traveling with Denella show. Give me the name of the show, the full name of the show again.
Yes, so it's Traveling with Denella is the weekly series, and then the 1 hour special, Traveling with Denella, America 250 this summer. Get ready. Get
ready. All right, sis, more to come. Thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, and Karen, tell them, don't forget, follow me on Instagram, Traveling with Denella, and follow my YouTube channel. So help me get those subscribers up, because we're finally starting to roll out those shows on YouTube as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Karen, always, sister. Love you.
Always. Love you back. See you soon.
Thank you for listening to Hidden 250. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcast and join the conversation by following us on social media. I'm Karin Aaron, and until next time, this is Hidden 250.